used match grip, I'd be in this kind of weird position, hard to play. Now you can tilt the drum possibly if you had that kind of stand, but this is the most common way to play. All right, so good. Not many people have seen this clinic before, so we're going to do the bass drum test. Okay, you guys know your bass drum literature, right? I mean, how hard can this be? I said anybody can play the bass drum. Okay, so let's see if you can, music, this is drop the needle. Anybody? Come on, you guys are band directors, right? It's an orchestral piece. 1812, you got it, thank you. Okay, all right, I'm only going to give you a couple notes here. Fanfare of the common man. Okay, this is going to be the toughest one of the day. Bart, you can't answer. Are you ready? Got to listen to the nuance here. I could go on, but anybody? Oh, come on. Now listen to, really? I mean, listen to that. Okay, no. You heard it a whole lot last fall, up until January 7th. Then you didn't hear it at all. That was the bass drum part to the Notre Dame Victory March. Did you get it? You heard it a lot up until January 7th, but then you didn't hear it at all? Because they didn't score. Okay, so bass drum. Let's go on to cymbals. Now, we're not going to, this clinic isn't about showing you some sort of a methodology of being, you know, a symphonic cymbal player. What we're going to talk about is those things about playing cymbals that are very, very simple so that you can teach them. Okay? This is not going to be the kind of techniques that I saw this gentleman and this gentleman playing last night, you know, here, because they're professional percussionists. That's what they do. But first of all, you should always have your cymbals in some sort of a cradle. To have the cymbals down on the ground, on the floor, even if you have carpets on the floor, really isn't a good idea, because the students need to be able to pick up cymbals and go right to them. Which brings us to the grip of a cymbal. Now, some of you probably have cymbals that have a pad like this on the cymbals, or even a big felt pad, or what's it called, lamb's wool. Those things deaden the sound of a cymbal. They will take sound away from the cymbal, although they are more comfortable to play. But I take mine off. I just carry them with me. I've never used them. I just have them with me. The thing that's important about holding a cymbal is it has a strap or a loop here. The one thing that you need to know is that, remember, your kids don't know. You're the one that's going to have to tell them, is that the loop has no meaning at all. It's not for this. It's not for putting your hand through. The loop, the right grip, is like forming a fist where you hold both pieces of the strap and then you clamp it off with your thumb so that you're on a very simple grip just like this. Okay? You have a cradle where the cymbal was always very high. So let's say that a cymbal player plays a part and then they have to go and they have to play something else. Watch. If my hand was in the strap, they wouldn't be able to get out. They wouldn't be able to move fast enough. And likewise in picking it up. Now, some simple techniques in cymbal playing. The guys were kind of doing it last night too, which is good. I was never that strong. I had to play what's the name of the Sousa King March guy? Byron. The guy that travels around and does symphony orchestras, and he does all Sousa yeah, something. But anyways, I was playing with South Bend Symphony, and I had to play cymbals in every single tune. Every tune in an entire concert. I mean, I was dead. And of course, if I had to play cymbals the way I've seen some people play, I simply wouldn't have been strong enough to do it. The thing that's important in teaching kids is that it doesn't have to be that difficult. You see, if the left hand, we'll just pretend it's, you know, I'm a right-handed person, we'll say that, but the left hand stays stationary. It doesn't have to move. And so the cymbal stroke is actually a grace note. because you want to be able to almost get this part of the cymbal hitting first and that part of the cymbal hitting second. Now, remember what we talked about bass drum. It's not about playing the bass drum, it's about controlling the bass drum. Same thing with cymbals. You have to control the sound. You use your body to control the sound. You teach your students, they pull the cymbal into their gut, use their arms. There's a variety of ways to try to dampen a cymbal, okay? But this is a very common technique, especially for playing like quarter notes. When you have to play a bigger crash, going out the other way. But notice I'm not doing any Mickey Mouse ears, or I'm not doing this kind of stuff. Maybe that's good for the marching band field, not exactly good for general playing, and that's really what we're talking about. Kind of pushing the sound out to the audience, okay? So that's a little bit about crash cymbals, which then brings us to the suspended cymbal. And on the suspended cymbal, I just have mine on a simple stand. There are new kinds of stands now where a cymbal is on a strap and it just hangs off of this hook. That's a very good sound and very good technique also. I use, using a soft felt mallet or a yarn mallet is the best thing for a cymbal. The one thing about cymbals, do you notice I have 16 or 18 inch as a recommended? People that use a ride cymbal, a 20 inch or a 21 or 22 inch ride cymbal, that is not a suspended cymbal. The sound that we have to generate here is a shimmer. It's like white noise. That's the sound that we're always trying to create. When you use a big ride cymbal, it's not going to have the buildup for that. It's not going to have the splashiness to it. Listen to the cymbal here. Notice it's a thinner cymbal too. It has the ability to vibrate. Now, did you notice the technique that I used? When I played, I didn't just, if I had a single stroke to play, I would generally play it with two mallets. I would generally play it hitting exactly on opposite sides of the cymbal at the same time to get the best overall sound in a glancing outward motion. When you have to dampen a cymbal, if you have to dampen it fast, use all your body. Use your stomach, your arms, your fingers, etc. That's how you do that. Now, the other thing is some little techniques that's out of a book that we all studied out of, but it really works. If you are going to play, for example, something that, let's use the bottom one there, where you're going to have two measures going up in a crescendo and then two measures coming down, if I played what's written, here's the way it would sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did you notice that I kept playing and I tried to bring the sound down, I tried to bring the vibrations down, but now listen to probably the best way to perform that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In other words, let the cymbal work for you. It's one of those things that you can tell your students about that, when they have to, play that type of literature. Which brings me to my favorite cymbals. This is where you have to become a psychologist also. Let's first of all, quality of sound. We talk about quality of sound. These are finger cymbals. You're going to laugh a little bit, but okay, they're not very good finger cymbals. That's why you have to make investments in good quality of sound. These are good Zildjian or Sabian finger cymbals. Either one, they're very good. And it's how you play it. And there's a psychology about playing the finger cymbals too. Think about it. You assign a student to play the finger cymbals. It's kind of demeaning. Okay? Which brings us to a part that's very important in that everything in percussion needs to be high and up. Watching the guys last night, I was watching tambourine playing where I could see that tambourine while I was sitting back here in the audience. That's the right way to do it. When I saw the castanets being played, they were played up high. When I heard many things, they were above. And so therefore, in finger cymbals, you have to make sure your students know that this is an important part. Now, they have to play it the right way. This is not a trained monkey thing that goes, this way. This is one technique, where one cymbal is dropped down on the other. But a better technique is what's called the cross technique. Isn't that amazing? Edge to edge. If you walk away from these clinics with only one thing that you learned that you didn't know, I hope, that's the goal. And this might be one of them. Quality of sound, and then playing it the right way. Did you know you have vibrato in finger cymbals? Okay, isn't that cool? And again, they're finger cymbals. How do you stop them? Oh, with your fingers. Also, finger cymbals have different pitches. Hear that? And that's why together they have the kind of piercing sound that they do. This is that product that goes out to the audience. This is that product that, you assign little Johnny to play, finger cymbals. Make sure that he plays it loud and proud and high so that everybody can see it with the right techniques, because this is going to go, throughout your concert hall. Okay, tambourine. In playing the tambourine, you need to have the right equipment. The most important thing for a tambourine player is something called a chair. So, we got a chair. The other thing that's important for a tambourine player is a good tambourine. I'm going to demonstrate for you a not good tambourine. I'll play it the right way even. For many of you, when you are buying equipment, a tambourine, a cheap tambourine, it's a tambourine. How hard could it be? So you get that. This is the type of instrument that you need to make some level of investment in. There's different types of companies such as Grover or Black Swamp that make incredibly good tambourines. They have good tone, etc. Listen to the tonal structure of this. It's a huge difference in sound. This is the Grover tambourine. Just a different timbre to it. There's single rows, there's double rows. I recommend the double rows for most general type of playing. Avoiding extraneous noise. This is a very important part that you have to tell your students about. When they have to play the tambourine with the head up, they need to make sure the last time they played it, they prepare the tambourine in advance to be head up. In other words, if they're playing something that is, I didn't do it very good there. You have to be able to get your students to prepare the tambourine to be played for the next way it's going to be picked up. There's a variety of different types of things. There's rolls, like a shake roll. We heard that last night, okay? However, that shake roll had no beginning and had no end. Listen. So therefore, in a shake roll, you have to make sure you start the roll and you stop the roll. So when you have a shake roll written, make sure you tell your students they're not just shaking the tambourine by going back and forth. They have to start it and stop it. Notice when I'm stopping it, I'm not stopping it up here. I have to stop it flat. I have to let gravity work for me to have the jingle stop moving and stuff. A variety of different techniques. If you have to play something that is slow and loud, this is the normal technique. You purse your fingers together like this, and you play, it's the same spot as the snare drum, isn't it? It's not the middle. That's a kind of you don't get a great sound there. It's not the very high, far end. It's the same spot as the snare drum or the bass drum. There's a commonality there, isn't it? Okay? So that's one overall technique. Another type of technique would be what we would call a slow, soft technique. And that would be with the tambourine with the head to the downside. The timbre changes quite a bit. Okay? Then another technique would be playing something loud and fast. If I had to play the tambourine at that tempo, if I had to play it like this, I would be dragging all the time because I can't move my hand that fast enough. So therefore, you use the things that you have. This is where the chair comes in. So you would use a chair, use your knee. Your knee now is it's a mallet. Your fist is a mallet. Now listen. So I was able to play loud and fast, articulated rhythms using the fist and the knee to give me the best overall sound. Now, you have to do the same thing, but this time it has to be very, very soft and delicate, but fast. This is where you use your knee, but now you're not going to use the bony part of your knee. You can use your upper leg. Listen. Did you hear how by using fingers, or all my fingers, I changed the overall timbre of the sound? Fingers, all my fingers. Now, if I slide the tambourine to different spots of my leg, drier. When I slide it out, more resonant. So these are just little things that as you are putting your programs together for your kids and trying to get them to play the right sounds, these are the kinds of things that can help. Now, the thumb roll. First of all, it's a tough thing to do. I mean, when you see kids back there, doing this, they're getting ready to play their thumb roll. I'm not a great thumb roll player myself, and my head has a little bit of sticky on it, which I'll explain in a second. That whole concept of this circle around the outer perimeter, that's what it's all about. So you're wetting your thumb, and I'm not doing this very well, and you'll see why in a second why I'm talking about that. What I use is beeswax. This is beeswax that you can get at a hardware store. And then I would rub it on there. I have to do it often. I haven't, done this for a while on this tambourine. And let's see if that helps. So that's the thumb roll. Now, there is something new out that does sort of change the game. See the black strip there? Basically what it is, it's almost like an adhesive that is emery type of a board. It's like sandpaper, okay? The cool thing is that at the middle school and high school level, it is a way to try to get your kids, and it's a very inexpensive type of a thing to add to a tambourine. So now, I don't have to wet my thumb. Okay? And when we're near the end, I'll leave these down here for you guys to experiment with those, but kind of a neat thing. Sorry, I keep losing the clicker. That's what I keep doing up here. So, just some ideas to think about. The triangle. Once again, quality of sound. This is a triangle. It is shaped like a triangle. However, it is not really a very good sounding triangle by today's standards. Okay? The type of beater that you use is a very important thing. Don't use just a steel rod or a nail. That's never going to give you the type of depth of tone that you need to get out of a triangle. The best thing to do for a triangle is, I have a bunch of names up there: Abel, Grover, Black Swamp. Those are the names. Now, in playing the triangle, the main thing is about how to hold the triangle. I form a C with my hand, just like this. And then with that C, I put the triangle clip in there, and I'm just sort of holding that position there Now the triangle is free, and that's where I'm going to get my best sound. Notice also where I'm playing on the triangle. There is a bright spot on the triangle, which is this upper part here, and there is a darker spot that may sound a little weird to you right here, but in the band setting or orchestra setting, it's a very dark, good sound. Hear all those overtones that are happening there? Those will usually dissipate through the orchestra or band. So, two different sounds, very high and, pingy like. They're playing a triangle roll. It's not the traditional that. It's either up high or it's down low. And really all I'm doing is I'm taking that triangle beater and my fingers are just fluttering it there. And that's all I'm doing to get that sound. Again, dampening of a triangle is done with the fingers, so we'll call it muffling, dampening, whatever. Okay, moving on. Sometimes you're going to have to play fast things on a triangle, so a triangle may have to go onto a music stand. Always be conscious of this, because a triangle on a music stand, there is an inherent problem with that. Okay, it's the symbiotic vibration that a Manhasset has, or, with a triangle. So let's see if you can hear the stand. Do you hear the stand in there? Now listen, if I just take a towel, the black towel, by the way, is, it's a great invention for, muffling a bass drum, whatever, and I'm just putting the towel there. Now listen to the triangle. Hear how you don't hear the stand anymore. Sometimes when you play the triangle, you have to play something fast. That's where you would use another clip, and then you would just clip it up, and then now you use two beaters, so you can play something very, very fast. So another concept, which then brings us to the wood block. And this is the one where you say, well, how hard can this really be? It's the wood block. Okay. The best thing about the wood block is how you hold it. Because if you hold the wood block and you play it with the wrong kind of a stick, it's not going to have a good sound. So here's a wood block, just play with a regular stick, and I'm holding it in the incorrect way. But again, the kids aren't going to necessarily know that until you tell them. So the best thing to do is they have to make sure they hit it with the right type of a mallet. It can be either a hard rubber mallet or a medium rubber mallet. Here's a hard rubber mallet. Here's a medium rubber mallet. Okay? So now let's hold it the right way. The best thing to do is to take your hand as if you're like going to be sipping water. And it's like you're forming a resonating cup or chamber in there. And you literally are resting the wood block right on on your hand on that chamber.